Hello, everyone. Hello. So just want to make sure that you're in the right place, that you're here to listen to what our wonderful program in Mozambique, trying to shape skills for employability with career centers in various universities in Mozambique is doing. It's an amazing program. We're absolutely delighted that you are here. So welcome. I'm Yolande Miller-Granvaux, and I lead the community of practice on higher education, engagement, and transformation. And Akorfa is going to say hi.
Hello. Right. Welcome, and we are glad to have all of you here join us. Okay, so
Go ahead, Akorfa.
right, our agenda for today, Yolande will speak about what this HEET COP is, Higher Education Engagement and Transformation Community of Practice, and then there would be a presentation on what a career center is. Also get to hear from the career center in Mozambique. They would be sharing their story with career ambassadors, and student dialogue would also take place during this session. Then there would be an opportunity for questions and answers and next steps. We are very excited today to hear from the perspective of students who have utilized career centers in their country, Mozambique, as they also share their perspective and their stories with us. So I am handing over to Yolande, who is going to recap the HEET Committee of Practice. Over to you, Yolande.
Thank you, Akorfa. I forgot to say, I am based in Washington, D.C., and Akorfa is based in Ghana. So we truly global as a community of practice. Just a quick reminder of what it is. We've been in operation for 3 years now, and the idea behind this community of practice is to bring together youth and higher education stakeholders, faculty, higher education institution staff to talk to each other, to exchange knowledge, to generate more knowledge, and really to share information about what we do and how we can improve our work in higher education and youth development. So this is an opportunity for you all to participate, to learn, to share your findings, to share your ideas, and what this community of practice is about. Please put in anything you want to say in the chat, new learnings, anything that the speaker said that resonated with you, just put it in the chat and we'll respond to it. This is about pretending we're in the same room today, which we are, and just learning from each other and starting a dialogue. So thank you. Thank you, Ed, for introducing yourself. Please do so in the chat. We want to see where you are, where you're from, and it's great to see you. All right, we have the pleasure of having our USAID Mozambique colleagues here. And well, we don't have a picture of Mise, but that's okay. So Mise is our has been at the mission, at the USAID mission in Maputo for years and years, and he has played quite a part in the creation of this program, this career center and higher education program in Mozambique. So I'm gonna let Mise introduce himself and open the webinar. Hello, Mise, please, the floor is yours.
Hello, Yolande. Thank you. I suspect you can see me now.
Yes, we can. And you look wonderful.
Oh, thank you. You too. So yes, we wanted to just use this opportunity. I want to thank everyone for inviting us to this meeting. We just want to quickly share what we are doing or have been doing here in Mozambique with careers. And this is a very new idea, as you all may imagine. And what we're trying to do now, I mean, we worked on this since 2019, and we were given, the funding opportunity to work in higher education. When we started, in fact, seeing that opportunity to work with higher education institutions here, until then, we were not doing any programming in higher education. But since then, we were given that option to be able to apply for these funds. So we did, and we try to see if we could, work on different options, scholarships, science research, funding, and other areas, including the career center. So what we did, we decided to embrace the career center. This project was a result of a very long consultative process, which was, involved the Minister of Higher Education. And it's aligned with their priorities because we had to consult with them and see what best they wanted to use those resources on. And so, we met with the Minister of Higher Education and we finally settled on this idea of career centers to help youth, especially women, find jobs, after graduation. This is something that in Mozambique has not yet been, done widely, except very few guidance that students, particularly, higher education graduates get. We thought the investment in this area to help, youngsters once they graduate to be able to have skills and have a better orientation to career development and to employability. We thought this was in consultation with the government. We came to the conclusion this was an interesting thing to do. So we had the expression of interest, which was accepted for funding, and we issued a solicitation and looked at many concepts that we had. We then settled with the Michigan State University after also a lengthy process and very profound discussions with the Minister of Higher Education, and held a co-creation workshop to allow wider participation, and also try to build ownership around the ideas, because again, as you know, and as I said, it's new. We wanted the Minister of Higher Education to be on board, but also for them to be supportive and know what we were doing. So we spent an interesting amount of time working with them and doing that. Now, after those consultations and working closely with the host government, we thought that was really critical stage because the new initiative, as I said, now the project was launched recently. We invited, our ambassador, we invited other stakeholders, and it was really very well attended, even by government officials when we did the official launch. And it enjoys wide support. We are really very happy with it and excited with the work that it's doing. It involves, universities in Maputo, but also in a central part of Mozambique, working there with 2 high education institutions. In fact, one of my colleagues is right now visiting it, and we see the difference it's making. And it's becoming to some extent a model for other universities that are trying to do and provide some services to students, because, as I said, this is a gap that is there in really almost all all universities. They don't have this type of services, and we see that the interest is growing. Many people are looking at what we're doing and trying to really take this and scale it up to other higher education institutions. So this is in a nutshell what I wanted to share with you today about our work with career centers here in Mozambique. And thank you so much, Yolanda, and back to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for taking us through the process, because it's often we don't know what it takes to get to the point of starting a program like this. So this is very important. We're going to see the program in action with students, with youth, with career center staff, and of course, Michigan State University. So I'm going to let Akorfa briefly introduce the speakers, and then we will dive into what a career center is and why it is so important for students and what did they think of it. So Akorfa.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Missy.
Right. So I'm introducing to us Jennifer Marcy, who is a scholar practitioner with over 15 years of international experience. And she's currently the project management for the USAID Higher Education Career Development Initiative at Michigan State University. And joining her also is Violeta Andoy-Masi, who is currently the manager of the Career Development Center at the Higher Politecnic Institute of Manica. As manager, Violeta is responsible for developing programs to orient students in defining their professional careers and also facilitate student employability. Welcome, Jennifer and Violeta. Handing over our virtual mics to you.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And you can please advance the slide. So I'm going to briefly describe in general terms what a university career center encompasses. So career centers help students better understand what they want to do after they graduate and what steps they need to take towards obtaining their career goals while they are pursuing their academic degrees. They help to develop 21st century professional skills and prepare students to enter the job market or graduate education. Career centers also connect students with career center staff who can inspire and support students to transition confidently from their university experience to full-time employment. Next slide, please. So there are many benefits to having an engaging career center, and these are, of course, just a few. Career centers offer one-on-one advising appointments with general and discipline-specific career advisors. And these career advisors really help students understand the skills that employers are looking for in their current workforce. Career Center also provides access to career events aimed at exploring fields and connecting with alumni employers. And then the Career Centers also offer training on soft skills and technical skills, such as CV and cover letter writing, interviewing techniques, and developing and practicing an elevator pitch. Many of these skills are not taught in the classroom, and so having a career center is really critical for students to develop these skills as they enter the workforce. Next slide, please. So as we heard earlier, before the launch of the USAID Higher Education Career Development Initiative, there was a gap of career centers within Mozambique. Many institutions did not have these programs available to their students. And so our project is really working to build successful, sustainable, and scalable career development centers. Next slide, please. Our approach has 4 different objectives shown here, and you can just go through the slides. Thank you. And we believe that each of these objectives can play a significant part of an interlocking puzzle to help establish sustainable career centers. And by working collaboratively as a consortium and with USAID, these centers will become viable talent sourcing solutions for employers, and they'll promote employment opportunities to students. Next slide. And there are many different beneficiaries of this project. The first, we can start with youth. So youth at each institution will engage in soft skill development, exploration of career paths, and job search skills that complement their academic knowledge that they're gaining at each institution. And this will really help them to lead to employability in their chosen field of study. Our Career Center staff are currently engaged in over 50 hours of training where they are gaining knowledge in visioning and strategic planning, youth development, the integration of gender and persons with disability strategies into Career Center activities, partnership building, and event and program creation and implementation. Private sector partners and other employer partners are also a critical component of this project. And we are currently developing and strengthening partnerships with the private sector and other employers, which will lead to access to highly qualified interns and match employers with work-ready graduates. And also for the host institutions, there's growth for learning of current youth, which will really lead to greater retention. And you can see Also, we have secondary beneficiaries that include the government of Mozambique, trade and business associations, and society at large. So now I'm going to turn it over to Violetta, who is a Career Center manager, and she will discuss the process of starting a Career Center in Mozambique. Violetta, on to you.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, everyone, to join with us. I'm Violetta. I will talk about the story of a career center.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're getting some echo.
Okay. Did you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, and I hear less echo. Thank you.
Thank you. I will talk about the story of Career Center in Mozambique. The Career Center in Mozambique started with the hiring and training of the CDC managers and the focal point for each of three universities in Mozambique who does implement the project. So in the first year, we established the center, and we identified the location where the center will work. After that, we offered the first workshop about cover letter, writing of cover letter, writing of CV and resume, and we talk about the interview preparation, and also talk about job and business search strategy and the skills required in the job market. Next slide, please. The activities took place simultaneously. On the one hand, students were trained, but on the other hand, we hired some staff of the center, the gender specialists for bank and inclusive project, the data analyst, the financial for the CDC, and also we hired recruitment and counseling coordinator. And also we hired 7 career ambassadors for help the student to do our job. And also in our meeting, we have a Marley, who is a career ambassador. She will speak more properly about the job what she do in UM. Next slide, please. So I had the opportunity to participate in the training of manager of the center, and I acquired the necessary tools for the functioning of the center. Now, it is very gratifying to hear the testimonies of the students sharing their experience of having participated in the CDC workshop. In our webinar, we have 2 students participating who will talk about their story. So I would like to thank you very much for your attention.
Right. Thank you for that. Right. So we're now moving on to our students speakers who would be sharing their experience as well. So going to Matthias, Isufu, and Marley. So whilst we're speaking, we want to encourage all of you to put your new learnings in the chat, and if there's anything from the panelists that resonates with you, please let us know. So thank you again, Jennifer and Violetta. If there are no questions, any questions for us so far to ask them? If not, we just go straight to our student panelists. Okay, so far I don't see any. So over to you then. So Matthias is a senior student in animal production at the Higher Politecnic Institute of Manica and training facilitator at Wake Up Talent Development, an organization dedicated to awakening young Mozambicans and guiding them to explore their potential to the fullest as leaders and agents of change in Mozambique. Isufu is an undergraduate student at Eduardo Mondlane University in Ecology and Terrestrial Biodiversity Conservation, and he's deeply concerned about the environment and always tries to contribute to its preservation. So our career ambassador, who is going to give us a presentation, who is Marley, currently works as a career ambassador at the Eduardo Mondlane University Career Development Center, and she provides career development training and advice services to students. So over to you, Marley.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you all, and I'm happy to be here. So I'm here to talk about what is a career ambassador. So next slide, please. Well, a career ambassador are student leader who serve the other students or the fellow students at the career center known as CDC. So this career ambassador train and guide in potential development topics and career related to the students in their schools and their universities. Please, next slide. So what we do as a career ambassador, what are our work, and we have here some scopes of work. We provide career coaching and advising to students by sessions, private sessions, where they could share with us their interest and also what they want to do in their career professional development. We review also CVs, cover letters, and application documents. For example, if a student want to try to work in a new place and they asked him CV, so we review their CV to say what's correct and what's not and organize it better. Next slide, please. We also present career development workshops related to career topics such as how to make a CV, how to make a cover letter, how to be prepared to any interview, how to act well, how to speak well, and things that are going to engage and going to bring to the students relevant to their career. We also assist the development marketing materials and campaigns in increased students' engagement. In our university, we always try to make the possible way for them to be engaged by creating these materials, marketing materials for them. Next slide, please. We also serve as a liaison for the Career Center and represent the Career Center at campus events and programs. We have during our activities at university some meetings and events. So career ambassador going to represent them and also try to do a job that's going to be relevant for all university. We develop also marketing materials and campaigns to increase students' engagement. Next slide, please. And it's all. Thank you.
Right. So I see a question in the chat. Do you find that there are any differences in what employers in Mozambique are looking for on a CV or in interviews as compared to US employers? Right. So Jennifer, I'd like to direct this question to you, please. Do you find that there are any differences in what employers in Mozambique are looking for on a CV or in the interviews compared to US employers?
Sure, and I think I will also ask Violetta because she's kind of in the midst of this as well. So with our training, we've been making sure that as we're building the capacity of our career center managers, that they take this context and really look at the context within Mozambique. And so I think, Violetta, do you see any differences? And I think it's a little bit hard because she doesn't really know about the US context. But Violetta, what are private sector employers in Mozambique really looking for in terms of the CVs or interviews?
Thank you, Jenny. I will talk in Portuguese and Angela can help me to translate. Bom, nós usamos o modelo de CV que os colegas dos Estados Unidos ajudaram-nos a desenvolver e tentamos adaptá-los à nossa realidade em Moçambique. Então, por exemplo, temos alguns modelos que nós usamos em Moçambique do CV que coloca-se ali a foto no modelo de CV. Então, é um modelo que para nós em Moçambique pode, em alguns casos, pode ser utilizado, mas, por exemplo, para os Estados Unidos isso já não é aplicado, porque é como se o candidato estivesse a impressionar, dependendo da foto que o candidato vai colocar no CV. Então, isso pode influenciar positivamente, por um lado, mas também negativamente para a sua contratação. Então, nós tentamos sempre adaptar e, em contato com o setor privado, tentamos perceber o que eles mais precisam que os estudantes, quais são as habilidades que os estudantes devem apresentar no mercado de trabalho. Tanto é que, no princípio deste ano, nós fizemos a pesquisa da análise do mercado de trabalho, onde enviamos um questionário para as empresas. Está nesse momento a decorrer o processo, estamos a recolher os questionários para sabermos que tipo de apoio o centro pode dar ao setor privado. Obrigada. Angela, can you help me to translate?
Yeah.
Please.
I will just summarize what Violeta said. She said she doesn't have experience with a CV requirements in the United States, but based on the training they had with MSU, they have seen that there's some difference within the format of the CV. An example is that in Mozambique, it's very common to have the candidate pictures in the CV, but in the United States format, this is not a common thing. So what they're trying to do now is just to understand what are the requirements, because this exercise has never been done in Mozambique, is just trying to understand what exactly the private sector requires when they access the student CV. And they start a labor market assessment in January just to try to understand the needs, what the private sector requires and what they're looking for when they ask for a CV. But this is everything new and they're still trying to learn and adapt the CVs to fulfill the requirements of the private sector in Mozambique.
Right. Thank you for the response. Okay, so we still have two other presentations on our bill today, and then right after that, we'll move back to the questions and answers. So I've already introduced our other two speakers, Isufu and Matthias, so I'm handing over to them. Right, so over to you, Matthias, please.
Boa tarde, Matias Zedina. Vou apresentar a experiência que eu tive no Centro de Desenvolvimento de Carreiras. Quando entrei, não tinha noções básicas de como se elaboravam documentos profissionais, neste caso estou a falar de CV e outros que durante a formação tivemos, mas com a equipa especializada na matéria, foi possível, durante esta formação, ter técnicas adequadas que, de uma forma, pode ajudar no mercado de trabalho, visto que somos estudantes que estamos quase para ser colocados no mercado de trabalho, que é de extrema importância ter essas ferramentas. E não só, também em relação às apresentações das entrevistas, tivemos técnicas adequadas que podem ajudar os estudantes finalistas das instituições privadas, assim como as estatais, a se preparar para entrar no mercado de trabalho, visto que o mercado é altamente competitivo, que precisa de qualidades dos estudantes para poder entrar neste tipo de mercado. E também, durante a formação, tivemos também a oportunidade de de aprender sobre a preparação da entrevista, a redação de CV profissional e também tivemos uma simulação de como é que nós podemos fazer este CV prático com a equipa que estava lá especializada. Então, antes de eu entrar nesta formação, não tinha noções básicas. Então, depois da formação, já sou capaz de fazer documentos profissionais.
Okay, Mattia was explaining his experience as a student and how he benefits from the career service. So he said before attending the training programs at this career development centers, he didn't know how to produce a professional document as a CV or as a cover letter. So he attended training, and for him is particularly important because the employment sector is a very competitive sector, and he feels that through the training, he acquired the skills that provides him a competitive advantage. So aspects as how to write a professional CV, how to behave in job interviews, how to have CVs that address the needs of the private sectors are some of the skills that they found very useful. And right now he feels confident and feels that he has the sufficient skills to apply, to successfully apply for job placements.
Right. Thank you for that, Matthias. So we had Marley, who is a career ambassador, speak about what a career ambassador is and then what they do. So this next stage, we're handing over to Marley and Isufu to go into a conversation, also for Isufu to tell us what he does. So it's a dialogue between Marley and Isufu. So over to you both, Marley and Isufu.
Hello, Isufu.
Hello, Dr. Marley. How are you?
How are you?
Fine. You?
That's great. Can you explain us more about?
Sorry to interrupt, Marley and Isufu. We're getting a lot of feedback between both of you. So if you are not speaking, if you could mute yourself, I think that will help us hear you better.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you clearly, Isufu.
Okay. So English, I don't speak very well English. I don't learn English, but I will try that. So I use the CDC to learn about craft my resume, how to put myself during interviews, writing effective cover letters, obtaining professional experience, as well as volunteering and collaborating with other students to improve my academic experience.
So did you find the CDC useful for what you are doing now?
Yeah, internship in the field of environment conservation and biodiversity conservation with the help of these skills are learning at the CDC experience again there. Therefore, I conclude that the CDC played an important role in my career development process, and I am in my success that I obtained an internship in the field that I lack so much.
Thank you, Yusufu. Thank you. So we could see that the CDC help in what you are doing now and what you are working, and giving you the strength and the keys to develop to development of your career. Thank you.
Thank you so much, CDC.
All right. So thank you for that. We also got to learn that you use the CDC in your school to draft your CV and the opportunities that you used. So now we could come back to the questions which were in the chat. So again, thank you all our speakers for sharing your experiences and their presentations. So when I read a question, if it resonates most with you, then you respond to it. So there's okay. How do CDCs link with local businesses for job placement? Is the job sector robust in Mozambique, and in which sector do most students find jobs? So these are 3 questions in one. How do CDCs link with local businesses for job placement? The second part is the job sector robust in Mozambique, and which sector do most students find jobs?
Okay, I can ask the question. Okay, I will speak in Portuguese. Bom, o que os centros de desenvolvimento de carreiras fazem é oferecer workshops e convidar as empresas para que possam participar. Pode ser em forma de palestrantes, palestrar para os estudantes. Eles podem ter algum tema que queiram partilhar com os nossos estudantes. Então, nós damos esse espaço para que a empresa venha para o campus, conheça o centro, as atividades que nós desenvolvemos e juntos podermos trabalhar em prol do melhoramento da qualidade da qualidade dos nossos estudantes, que na verdade o bem é para as empresas, porque as empresas é que vão ter o produto final, que é o estudante formado com competências que o mercado de trabalho exige. Então, existe uma conexão entre o Centro de Desenvolvimento de Carreiras e as empresas. Então, as empresas vêm para o campus, assim como nós também vamos para lá para criar parcerias, seja em termos de estágios, que eles possam oferecer estágios para os nossos estudantes nas suas empresas. Obrigada. Thank you. Angela, please.
We engage with the private sectors in basically 2 ways. The first one is to participate in training workshops. And this has 2 ways. Either the private sector can suggest topics they find useful to address to the students, or we as a career development centers, we also suggest some topics and we invite them to come to the career development centers and share the experience with the students. The second aspect is we go there and we try to negotiate, especially in internship placements with the private sectors. I believe that Violeta believes that the most important is to show to the private sector that they also benefit. They will, at the end, they will gain something by interacting and engage with the Career Development Center, since they are participating in the skills development and they're making sure that the students have the qualifications they're asking for. So these are the 2 ways they engage with the private sector right now.
Right. Thank you for that. And thank you to Angela. So the next question, so Marley, how does it feel to be a career ambassador? And what kind of questions do fellow students ask you?
Well, I feel like very great and a pleasure to be ambassador, because we have the opportunity to help others. And the thing that I always try to do in my life is to create a better world. So being at university as an ambassador is helping others and is making a better world and helping the students for a better future, helping my country. So it's really special and grateful to be an ambassador. The other question, sorry.
Right. And what kind of questions do fellow students ask you?
They mostly ask how to organize their CV, how to be prepared to an interview, what to dress, how to talk or how to speak, and which way they are going to interact with the recruiters, and yeah, how to be prepared for interview are the most questions they used to ask.
Okay, that's nice to know. And I hope you have a good time sharing your experience with the students as well.
Yes, I hope so.
Right, that's good to know. Okay, and another question. So again, are these completely volunteer positions for students, or do they earn credits as career ambassadors? So does this in any form contribute to your program in school? Do you earn credits for being a career ambassador? Or it's completely a volunteerism? So
okay.
is this a complete volunteerism position, or do you earn credits for it as a career ambassador?
It's a completely volunteering. We do because we want just to help. And credits that we have, I can say that we have credits in terms of our personal development, because here interacting with other people we gain, and not about money or material gains, but it's about personal gain. So for me, I have a gain. I always know that it's a volunteer, but I gain for me, for my personal development, and also have the opportunity to get networking with other people, knowing other people, and it's an exchange. We are teaching, but we are also learning. So for me.
Right, that's very good to know, Marley. Right, and there's another question. I mean, anyone can respond to this. So how are career ambassadors selected, and do you apply for it?
Oh, yes. The CDC published a draft opportunity for career ambassador, and I applied. I sent my CV and all my documents, and after that, they selected 5, and we passed to another session, that is interview. We went to the interview, and we also passed the interview, and we went to the last session, that is a formation. We passed for a train. We passed for train from of people from Michigan University. They help us training how to create a CV, how to organize our CV, how to talk with people, and things like that. So it was a process from the job opportunity to the training.
Right. So the question also asks, do you volunteer? But yes, you've already responded that it's a volunteerism opportunity. Interestingly, almost all our questions are towards the career ambassador. So what skills and knowledge do career ambassadors find most useful for helping other students? So let's personalize it, Marley. What skills and knowledge do you most useful for helping other students?
For me, there are three principal skills. That is leadership, because leadership is a key to everything in life. And the other thing is empathy, the ability to understand the other people's emotions. And it's important for us because we are going to interact better and understand more the people that come to us and want help and are in harm. And the last thing I think is communication skills. That is not a priority, but we develop it in the process. But it's important, a communication skill, because we're going to interact well, understand each other well, and pass the information correctly. So for me, these are the three skills.
Right. Okay, so again, leadership, empathy, and communication. So these are the 3 top skills. So that's the answer to the question on the top skills and knowledge that are relevant to career ambassadors as they help students. Right, thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
So let's see if there are any other questions. Okay, so good morning, Matthias and Isufu. As ambassadors, do you work mostly with fellow students, or do you also interact with potential employers or trade associations? So is it just fellow students you work with, or do you also happen to interact with the potential employers and trade associations? So either Matthias or Isufu can respond to this question, please.
Well, Marley is the career ambassador, so I think she could respond to that. But in Violetta, if I'm not mistaken, the career center managers are the ones that are going to be engaging with the private sector. I don't believe that the career ambassadors are engaging with the private sector right now. But Violetta, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Sim, nós trabalhamos com as empresas. Neste momento, contratamos os recrutadores, junto com os embaixadores, eles vão fazer esse contato com as empresas. Obrigada.
So right now, the CDC managers and the recruitment coordinators are the ones who engage with private sectors, but the second phase is also to engage the career ambassadors to start the communication to private sector, addressing some key topics, either workshops or mentoring. So, but right now it's only the CDC staff who engage with the private sector, not the career ambassadors.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. So as the conversation is going on, we also want to find out what skills you find most useful to help young people connect with and succeed in working. Please drop your responses in the chat as well. What skills do you find most useful? So Marley shared hers being leadership, empathy, communication. So what are the skills you find most useful? Right. Okay, so there's another question. What are the challenges of starting career centers when universities have never had one before? Right, so this question, I'm sure it goes more towards Jennifer and Violetta. What are the challenges of starting career centers when universities have never had one before?
Well, I can start, and I think just developing the infrastructure of the career center is critical in making sure that there's materials and basically starting from scratch, from opening a robust office in which we want students to be welcome and feel warm and engaging with the career center. And I also think that what's critically important is buy-in from each institution so that these career centers are sustainable when the project is over. And so we have had great support from all of our consortium partners on this manner. And I think, as Violetta mentioned too, it's just receiving the training and understanding what the roles and responsibilities of this team are. So we have a really robust career center staff, and they each play a critical role in making the career center operate. And so it's been a process of hiring and training and onboarding folks, so everyone kind of understands what this concept is of a career center. So I think it's starting from scratch. It has its challenges, but it's also, we have the ability to make the career center a really effective tool for each higher education institution. Thank you.
Right, thank you to Jennifer. So, also, what are other services that you would like, that students would like to offer in the future that are not being offered now? So what other services would students like to offer in the future that are not being offered now, at least by the career centers?
And I'll let Violetta take that question.
Ok, thank you, Jen. Bom, primeiro falando dos desafios, dizer que quando o projeto iniciou, não tínhamos financiamento para a construção do edifício. Então, o que as três instituições moçambicanas fizeram foi identificar junto das infraestruturas já existentes um local onde pudesse se estabelecer o centro. Então, isso já foi feito, mas de acordo com as nossas atividades, nós achamos que se tivéssemos um espaço um pouco maior, seria muito bom para o desenvolvimento das nossas atividades e também a relação que nós temos que ter com as empresas. Então, estamos neste momento sem meios, né? Falo de viaturas, por exemplo, para podermos fazer as empresas a tempo e hora. Então, seria muito importante se o centro tivesse meios para que pudesse se deslocar para as empresas e aumentar o engajamento com o setor privado, porque eles são os nossos parceiros diretos de implementação do projeto. Então, seria muito bom resolvermos essa questão. Em relação aos serviços que os estudantes anseiam, durante as nossas formações, recebemos algumas sugestões dos estudantes referentes à oferta de cursos relacionados com a criação do autoemprego, não só olharmos para a busca de emprego, mas também o autoemprego. Então, os estudantes poderem desenvolver os seus negócios. Nós temos no ISPM uma incubadora de negócios em que trabalha com estudantes para a criação de empresas. Então, a nossa limitante tem sido de implementar as ideias de negócios que os estudantes nos apresentam, porque com o fundo do Estado nós não conseguimos implementar essas pequenas iniciativas. Então, se tivéssemos como não só fornecer os workshops em temas teóricos, mas também, posteriormente, termos a parte prática, onde o estudante vai implementar aquela sua ideia de negócio. Então, seria também algo que os estudantes nos solicitam. Angela, please, can you help me to translate? Thank you.
Violeta first started to share a challenge. So for her, one of the major challenges is to have the appropriate infrastructures, but also equipment to better serve and reach the private sector. In terms of other skills or other service that students ask, she told that recently students provided feedback and they asked for opportunities to also address self-employment. So most of the training targets students who are seeking for jobs, but the students understand that the job opportunities are not that much. So they asked the center to also address things like self-employment, entrepreneurship, or other opportunities that go behind only looking for jobs, but also creating new jobs.
Right. That's very interesting, actually. Yes, good to know that the students are also thinking of being entrepreneurial themselves and not beyond being employable by other organizations and firms as well. So Mali, your hand is up. Please, over to you.
Thank you. I just want to add something. We hope also would like to have more opportunities for people with disabilities because nowadays we are trying, yes, but we hope to in the future have the best conditions for them and in order to create more inclusive and diversity. So that's what I wanted to add.
Right. That's a good one, Marley. Thank you for that. That's bringing other opportunities for people with disabilities, being more inclusive, also promoting diversity. Thank you for that. So we're going to this should be the last round of questions, and Yolanda wants everybody to respond to it. So how do you all see the next steps in the future? So we can start with Jennifer and then Violeta, Matthias, Marley, and Istu, or anyone who wants to respond to this question. How do you see the future in the next steps?
Well, I think just continuing to roll out programs that students want and are able to participate in, and just continuing to build their skill sets in the future. So I think we've really been student focused and continuing making the student first and engaging with the private sector to make sure that we are meeting their needs and building the students' capacity.
Right. Thank you for that, Jennifer. Matthias, I see your hand up.
Mais uma vez, para além das formações que nós estamos a ter, também gostaria de, mais uma vez, ter outras formações e, ao mesmo tempo, a oferta de estágio para melhor executar no campo prático daquilo que nós temos tido como teoria no período da formação. Então, acho que seria muito importante para melhor apreciação dos estudantes, né? Não só a parte teoria, mas também a parte prática.
The trainings are really important and relevant, and Mattia wants them to continue, but he also wants to have internship placements opportunities. It feels that the CDC, the Career Development Center, are really supporting the soft skill, but it feels that you also need the element where it can also improve the technical skills. So the future is also to connect with the internship placements and opportunities to keep practicing the technical skills you got from the training.
Right. That's a good one. So internship placements to be able to put into practice even the soft skills and also gain technical skills as well, right? That's a good one. Thank you. Does anyone else would want to take this question? The next steps and the future, right?
Ok. Os 3 centros nas 3 instituições são os primeiros, são os pioneiros em Moçambique. Hoje já começamos a ver melhoria no desenvolvimento de habilidades dos estudantes no que tange a preparação das suas carreiras profissionais. Então, os próximos passos, eu penso que teremos estudantes preparados, porque temos esse contato com as empresas, esse engajamento para perceber junto deles quais são as suas preocupações em termos de funcionários, quais são as habilidades, e nós, como centro, podermos ajudar ou preparar os estudantes nessas temáticas que eles precisam. Então, eu penso que é uma oportunidade que essas instituições têm de preparar os seus estudantes em competências que eles não conseguem adquirir durante a sua formação. Então, é uma oportunidade deles terem no mercado, das empresas terem no mercado profissionais qualificados e prontos para servir o país. Obrigada.
Violeta was emphasizing that the 3 career development centers are the first one in the country, so we're still learning from the process. But from the feedback we got so far, we are seeing some changes. And for her, the next step, it's more in terms of engagement of private sector. So how to continue bringing them in the project and make them understanding that the skills the career development centers are putting in the market that are relevant, and how to make them participate more on the career development centers. So it's more in terms of engagement in the private sector as the next step.
Right. Thank you. So thank you all as speakers for sharing with us today. We've learned from you as well, and we've also learned of your feedback and what can be done, the next steps and the future plan from here. So handing over to Yolande to quickly share with us the next steps from us, and we wrap up today. Thank you very much for spending time with us. Over to you, Yolande.
Thank you, Violeta. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Matthias. Thank you, Isufu. Thank you, Marley. This was just really motivating, and we really wish you the best and continue with your career. We want to keep this community of practice going, so do go on youthpower.org and go into Connect. And then from Connect, you go into higher education, engagement, and transformation. And please share with your friends, with your relatives, your fellow students. We really want you there. So thank you very much. Next slide, please. We will meet. Okay, so here are new Youth Power events. Check it out. But if you go to the youthpower.org website, you will see all that. Check that out. And for our community of practice, next meeting is going to be a coffee chat in May. And then in June, we will have a webinar on career centers in Egypt. So we'll let you stay tuned to that. If anyone in this community of practice want to present or have a story to share, please let us know. This platform is yours. So please let us know, and we'll just facilitate all that. Well, thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and we will be thinking about you as you go into the future with great skills. Thank you all. Bye.